Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome along to Sundays Nights Weekend Warriors Spec Race Forward here on Apex Racing TV on our YouTube channel. My name's Adam Hadfield. I'll be taking you through round 3 of 2022 Season 2 here at the beautiful Mid-Ohio Circuit in Lexington, Ohio. Joining me tonight on cameras, we've got Jonathan Grabowski, and also on the mic is Sam Fitzpatrick. Sam, welcome along. Round 3. Can anyone stop Aero Nom tonight?
It's gonna be tricky, isn't it? Because he's already taking a couple of really strong wins so far this season around a couple of different circuits, or very different characteristic circuits. We go to another tight, twisty circuit this weekend, and well, he is at the top of qualifying, so it's not a great sign for the other drivers, but it looks close up there. We've got such a competitive field. Hopefully, one of the 50 drivers who are out here tonight can give him a challenge.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to look past him, isn't it? He's already got 2 wins in the bag out of 2 races, and on both of those occasions, he didn't come off pole. Well, tonight he's top of the list, being challenged by Austin winner and Rasmus Verori. Only a couple of tenths between them at the top of the standings. As we're coming towards the end of qualifying, just a minute left of that to run, and we'll have 5 minutes warm-up time where drivers can go about the business, relax, or maybe do a little bit of extra practice. I don't know about you, Sam, but I always find that little bit of practice time can you suddenly find yourself questioning all your lines and maybe overdriving it, trying to work something out. Better to have everything sorted before we get into that warm-up session, isn't it?
Yeah, some of us aren't that organised, unfortunately, and get most of our practice done in that 5-minute gap just before the race. But I'm sure these guys have been pounding around the laps. And of course, this Mid-Ohio circuit, I mean, it's not used that often necessarily in iRacing, but I think it's used fairly commonly in these spec racer Ford machines. And so these guys who have got many years of experience, many of them, I'm sure have put plenty of laps around this track in the past. We're using the chicane layout for tonight, something a little bit different. It changes the way that the keyhole is approached. Maybe gonna reduce overtaking a little bit, but it's a decent section of track in my opinion, Adam. But yeah, maybe just takes away one of the overtaking spots. And there's not many around here to start off with.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. We have obviously detracted from what is an obvious overtake into the keyhole. Your other options are probably down at turn 6 at the end of the back straight, where in the real world racing they actually have their starting line, don't they, when the Indy cars visit here? Other opportunities maybe into the carousel if you can sneak up the inside. I mean, what are your thoughts on the best overtaking place?
Yeah, I think that turn 6 is the best place. You can go around the outside crucially there as well. It's not just a case of defending the inside line and you're covered. You can manage to go around the outside, and that brilliant elevation change you have as you go into the left-handed hairpin. Really nice part of the circuit. I'm a huge fan of this place. I always think this place reminds me a bit of Hungaroring, which is another one of my preferred circuits. So there should be a good track for these cars, but it's going to be a little bit like Tsukuba. I mean, feels like quite a big circuit in comparison to Tsukuba, but it will not be easy to break the draft around this circuit. It will be easy to break the draft around this circuit. It won't be easy to stay in sort of pack, stay in the slipstream of the driver ahead. Say something for these drivers to contend with. Maybe not exactly the pack racing that we had at Monza. We have this little warm-up period, and plenty of these drivers are wanting to get out there, have that little bit extra couple of laps just before the session ticks over.
Yeah, it's an ever popular series. 52 drivers joining us tonight. Thankfully, we're not trying to squeeze them into a 1.1 or 1.2 mile track of Tsukuba as it was. We've got 2.3 miles to play with tonight, so there shouldn't be the cars absolutely parked on top of each other and lots of back markers to deal with that we had last week. Should spread out a little bit. We should get some good racing in. As ever, a shout out to our sponsors for tonight, RaceVoice, sorry, is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Weekend Warrior Spec Race Ford Racing Series. You too can take your driving to the next level with on-track audible performance alerts with RaceVoice and RaceVoiceSIM. Hear miles per hour, turn entry and exit speeds, upshift alerts, and other performance metrics which are selected and configured by you. Go faster with the speed of voice. Plus, Weekend Warriors get 50% off annual SIM pricing using the promo code WW50. Go ahead and check them out at www.racevoice.com. As we go on board now with series founder Stevie Ray as he works his way through that little chicane and into the keyhole. Just showing us what the correct line is through there. I imagine there'll be a few dicey moments through there. It's a quick chicane, isn't it? And I expect drivers might be a little bit frustrated not to have got their overtaking opportunity into the keyhole. You might find drivers just poking a nose through there. It is a fast corner after all.
Yeah, I think the only time I've ever commentated on a race where we've run this layout was in the Apex Racing Academy Formula Renault 2.0 Championship. And it did work fairly well. I think we did see a couple of overtakes, or maybe like one overtake. I say an overtake, you can't, it's sort of impossible to overtake, but maybe like a side-by-side after coming, going side-by-side through turn one, the battle sorts of continuing. And then, of course, you've also got this area of the circuit as well. Expect a lot of spins over the crest. So easy to dip a wheel onto the grass on the outside of the track and to spin into the inside wall around that part. It is such a challenging circuit, this one. But like I was saying earlier on, one that the drivers should know fairly well, as they've just got a minute and 20 to go in the session. Of course, also a pit stop tonight that the drivers will need to deliver, and I think we've sort of seen that pit stop be quite important so far this season, Adam, where the first half of the race for the front runners, they're not really racing. They're sort of just, if anything, wanting to be a little bit further back so they can get the draft. And then when it comes to that pit stop, that's the opportunity to break the draft. That's the opportunity to save maybe a couple of seconds in the pit stop. So I think it's worth keeping an eye out on that. If you're in the lead pack, you don't necessarily want to be out in front for the first half of the race.
Yeah, there's a lot of holding places in the opening session, isn't there? You want to be in it to win it come the pit stop phase. And speaking of keeping places, I wonder if we've got our positions, our point standings, and see where everyone is after 2 rounds. Here we go, up on screen, highlighted in red, our Spec 1 drivers, top of the list. Leading after 2 wins, naturally, is Aeronom on 205 points. Last week's exceedingly close runner-up, Friends Arabian, closing in on 169 points. In third place, Steve Ellison, followed by Austin Winner and Jason Green, your top 5 in the pros. Then Naselli, Viger, Haraski Pinero and Samuel Dick making up the top 10. We also have our Masters category. Oh, before those though, we've got Spec 2 highlighted in green. Tom Renders, after a storming start to the season, leads on 125 points there, ahead of Andrea Favini and Alan McCain. Edgar Sancinelli up next in 4th, and my screen has disappeared. I'm wondering if we're having a little bit of technical issues there. I don't know, Sam, can you see the remaining point?
Unfortunately, I cannot see it either, but we might just be able to refresh in just a moment. As we do have, I think we have pretty much a full formation lap, so we got loads of time. There's Renders at the top, as you're saying, Favini in second place, McCain in third, Sancinelli running in 4th, and Hansen in 5th. Of course, only 2 rounds into a long championship, so it is plenty of opportunities to change for those drivers. And in the Masters category, the drivers who are 55 years or older, Murakami's been superb so far. I think he's got both race wins in the top 10 overall as well, I believe, in both results. Burkitts and they have done well for themselves as well, but just a little bit back. Rios and Bradshaw rounding out the top 5. Rios, I think, had a decent run, if I'm recalling it correctly, last time out. We'll see if he can do that this time. In fact, we don't have a very long formation lap, do we? As we might just be able to see the first few positions on the grid, because this pace car is going away.
Yeah, they're already forming up. There's only a very short run. Very quickly take you through maybe the front 10. It's Aeronom on pole ahead of Austin Winner. Rasmus Vori from Finland, the number 024 in third from Firenze Arabian. Andreas Bertoni heads up the third row from Marco Pinero. Antonio Reyes is the first Masters. Bobby West in 8th. Jason Perry in 9th. And Andrea Favini is our first Spec 2 driver. And we're away immediately. Aeronom is out into a comfortable lead there. Gets the jump on Austin Winner. Straight off the line and barrels into turn 1. Let's see if everyone can make it safely through here. Jumping up on the curb on the inside is a definite feature of that first corner. Everyone seems to have snatched up nicely as we're looking in the background as everyone works their way through the first chicane and for the first time into the keyhole, nice and clean off the start so far.
Yeah, so no changes in the top 9 so far off the start, but there's been a few changes further back. In fact, it seemed like a few drivers, Viger, Andelo, Dobek, Arterton all seemingly getting quite poor starts. They've lost a lot of places, so I think there was a little bit of a hold-up around one part of the track, and that has caused a little bit of a change there. Also, Gory just getting ahead of Perry a little bit further up. As you see some of the drivers further down in the order just making their way through the keyhole for the first time, as we've got a collision. That is Gory, in fact, so he was battling with Perry for P9, and I think an instant has actually gone on ahead of Jason Perry there, because he's all of a sudden gained 4 places and up into 6th place. So I think we'll get a replay of what exactly happened around that part of the circuit. That is a few of the drivers in the top 10 positions having problems early on.
Yeah, we lost Pinero there, didn't we? I saw him rejoin to the pit lane. So obviously a few cars involved as we got into the first run into turn 6. And as we talk about it, here comes our replay. I'm watching Gory at the moment. Perry to his left. Oh, and Pinero's gone off in front of them. Was that with Reyes? Oh, and then Bobby West. Oh, it was all so messy there, wasn't it? A couple of different accidents taking a couple of different cars out.
Yeah, they were sort of unrelated. Maybe that inside driver a little bit put off with what was going on up ahead, and yeah, causing contact. And then someone else was off the circuit just in front. As I think we're going to get a replay of what happened to Pinero in all of this. And you can see how far up the order they were. They weren't challenging the drivers ahead quite, but yeah, just that tap into the back. Yeah, a little bit off the onto the brakes a bit early there was Pinero, but well, I don't think you can blame him too much for that, and he is going to have a long day. In fact, had to tow back to the pits as well. So, well, hopefully we see him back out on track, but I wouldn't blame him if he decides to put up the gloves for the evening.
Yeah, that was a number 9 one for Reyes there, wasn't it? Who caught him in the rear corner and just turned him off track. Meanwhile, have we lost someone else here in another replay? Number 11,
yep,
Andreas
down to
Bertoni.
13th because of this.
Oh, way too hot into there. Started to lose the rear, didn't he? These cars very tail happy once you start to slide. A little bit of a pendulum effects get going, and that's what's caught out Andreas there, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that was costly, and he was in that sort of coveted lead pack, which you desperately want to be in. Not much of a draft around this track, but these guys are so evenly matched that it might be enough to sort of keep them in touch. And he was in that position, but he's lost it right there, and will have to make up some positions later on. Arabian was also able to get past Ruori in all of that. Not quite sure if that happened on lap 1 or lap 2, but he is now ahead. He's up into P3, so good work from him. As we see Jason Perry on the back of Reyes, who is having a terrific time of it. Remember, one of the Masters drivers is Reyes, doing all right in the championship at the moment, but has got some points to gain back on the championship leaders. He's yes, having a storming run at the moment, up in P5, but Perry looks a little bit quicker, it must be said.
Yeah, immediately we've got a breakaway 4, haven't we? After all the shenanigans we've just seen. Surprising to see those shenanigans inside the top 10. Normally you'd expect it in the lower reaches. Obviously, drivers a little bit more desperate off the start for whatever reason tonight. And it's claimed a few names. So we've immediately got a breakaway 4, which we're not used to. Normally you've got a few more cars in there for a few laps more before it starts to string out a little bit. We'll see if that changes the dynamic any. What's not going to change is we've got Aeronom in the lead pack, Winner and Arabian along for the ride as well, and Vori, the number 024, just off the back of them. I can't imagine that these 4 are going to get broken up before the pit stop phase, but whether anyone's already looking at saving fuel, as we definitely saw in the first week and a little bit last week at Tsukuba as well. Drivers just sitting in, not driving it too hard, not burning off the fuel, come off the throttle into the corners and just ease it round. It'll save you a little bit of time later in the pit stops. So we'll see if that comes into play as we join Weiger now, number 22, back in 16th place. Cars in front and behind for him. He's got a big battle on his hands, it looks like.
Yeah, he needs to be moving forwards, otherwise we'll be moving back. It says Simpkins just going off the track. You'll see his lap time pop up on the left side, and he's lost 4 seconds in that, as we've got alongside into turn 1. Hopefully they'll stay alongside for the chicane. because it narrows up quite a bit. Still, the 43 is trying to stay alongside. Now it's flat out going into this, but you have got to brake at some point. And in the end, just backing out was Simpkins. He got another position, as we'll get a replay of what happened to Simpkins around this. I mean, I've said it a couple of times, a lot of tricky corners around this track, but this is another one. It's a little bit of a tedious one. This is one corner I would replace on this track because it's quite a pain in understeer cars. That was a lot of oversteer though, and a bit too late on the brakes for Simpkins. That's why he went off the circuit and lost about four or 5 seconds.
Yeah, he got off on the exit of turn 13, didn't he? And then didn't have it all sorted by the time he was braking for the carousel. Oh, and not having it sorted again. Off he goes on a trip to the scenery. Gets a little bit of a tap in the rear, and that's 2 disastrous laps for Juiced. He's all the way down to 36th, 37th even now. Oh, what a disaster for the number 377.
Yeah, that's the disadvantage of having such a big grid, that when you make a mistake like that, you fall down so many places. Brilliant to have so many drivers though, out on track. And this is the type of battling we can have. Look at this train. Absolutely going on for ages. Just PD at the front of it. And then you've got Nunes, Riker, Dobek, West, Leone, Andalo, Murakami, Campbell, and even Gory isn't too far back either. Post just got past Reyes, by the way. That's for P5, so good work there from the British driver to make up that place. There he is. He made it into the keyhole, in fact, so it must have been a good move. Reyes will have the draft around this part of the track, so he might be able to repel the attacks. And here comes Manny as well. He looks quite quick, gaining on these drivers. And in fact, Reyes, I think, just backing out of that one. Oh, contact behind, and that is Manny. So he backed out of it as well, I think. He must have got a hit behind, and he ended up in the wall, and that is a lot of damage on that car.
Oh, I think they just misread the back marker there, didn't they? Back marker.
Oh, and there's been another incident now with Dobek and West and K.
Oh, cars all over the gravel track. We've got 3 in there, including West and Darlow, who we're looking at the moment. Slowly recovers back to the circuit. I think he's got damage to his rear, so maybe the innocent party in this one, I think. We'll wait on a replay just to see exactly how that's unfolded. The front 4 remain untroubled though, as we look back to them as they come to the end of lap 6. And replay pops up now for us. Let's see just how this one unfolded. Right, again, yeah, we've got the back marker pulling off to the right there, haven't we? And you'd think you'd get out of it completely, but then he looks to take back a racing line. Oh, everyone checks up, and Marnie is the one who bites the dust.
And then just behind that, we had another incident also, and there's a lot for us to keep in touch with. We have actually lost the Masters leader as well. In all that, Reyes is down to 22nd place. He was up in 6th, so he was around it in that battle. There's 3 wide. This is the battle in the mid-teens. Oh, there's a little bit of a tap there. Oh my goodness me, that was a long way back. That green car, the 45 or the 415.
Darlow, isn't it?
Flying in, yeah, and Darlow. I don't think he was even going for a move there, but I think everyone was just checking up ahead of him. He went for his normal braking point, and before he knew it, he was barreling into the corner, making contact.
Yeah, it's so nasty when that happens. You're expecting people to brake in a certain point, they don't, and then you do everything you can to avoid a collision, and sometimes you make the collision even worse. Sometimes it's better to take the car out who's immediately in front of you than dive to the inside and take 3 or 4 with you, unfortunately. Let's have a look where Reyes has got to. Oh, it's the same back mark, you know, the number 16. Oh, just misreads it as Panera goes to the pit lane. Oh, that is so unfortunate. Will he go to the pits himself? I don't think he's got enough of a tank to come in now, has he? No, he rejoins the track. Well, Panero's had a little bit of a shocker, I'm afraid to say, tonight. He's been involved in 3 separate incidents, 2 of them as a back marker.
And that was we lost the Masters leader right there. We've lost a Masters leader again though. Stevie Ray, who was up in 10th place overall, inherited the lead, and now he's actually come into the pits, has Ray. I think he initially made or picked up damage, but he is now in the pits again. Hopefully we see him back out on track, and he is coming back out on track. So might be able to get to the end of the race. Yeah, should be able to get to the end of the race. Fuel consumption should be quite low around this circuit. You got a lot of medium speed corners, so you're not on the throttle for as much of the lap, unlike Monza, which we visited in the first round of the championship. So keep an eye out for Ray. I assume he'll be challenging for the amateur lead, or the Masters lead, sorry, later on, but I don't think that was scheduled. I think he would have preferred to go a bit further, and that is where he is as a, in fact, that's, yeah, Stevie Ray in 46th position there. So after all, that means that Nunes is now the new leader in the Masters class.
Yeah, you know, I've been waiting for the past 3 laps to mention our big moves, and every time I start to try and get it out, we have an accident, and it all shuffles, and other drivers start climbing through. At the moment, we've got Jeff Jacobson up 19 places into 22nd. Obviously, kept his nose clean and out of the carnage. As we join him now, middle of this little group of 3 pro drivers. I can also mention, though, Kurt Nunes up 15th place into 12th. Edgar Sancinelli up 13 and Jason Green up 13. He's currently riding round in 6th place, so I think award goes to him for the highest placed high grid movers. But yeah, I think a lot of those drivers probably benefited from sticking out of trouble more than anything tonight.
Yeah, those positions very much coming in their direction rather than having to pick them off all the time, but there is a certain amount of skill, of course, in that they've done well to keep their nose clean so far in this race. As we've got another one of these big groups of cars. And this is Kern that we are currently focusing on. You can see the alternative line there from Lodi just behind. I'm not sure if that really works for the Spec 1 driver. Lost a little bit of time in all of that. Now we can see a move between Simpkins and Santiago just ahead. You can see they're alongside. That is Santiago moving ahead of Simpkins, who we saw had problems earlier on in the event. And that will be Santiago just making that move. Wise there from Simpkins not to fight that one too much, and instead tries to keep the pace up and not get swallowed up by other drivers. Saying that, he immediately tries to come back on the overtake. He wasn't able to make it. He remains in 30th place. And look at Jackson all of a sudden now, the one who is on the defensive, hanging a poor run through that middle part of the lap.
Yeah, all these drivers having to look forward and backwards. Always a little bit of a run through Thunder Valley there. No real opportunity to overtake through this section though, as they hug the red barriers on the right, flick it in through 13, and then brake over this nasty little hump as we go through the carousel. Always awkward to pick your braking point there. If you brake too late, you're straight off into the grass. Brake too early, you can lose so much time there. As we've got drivers in the pit lane in the background, I saw there. I wonder if a few more are thinking.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I just saw how Simpkins came into the pits, and it looked as though the driver who he was alongside left a car's width for him, probably being told that he's still alongside you, but of course he was actually in the pits. They sort of was leaving a gap for a phantom car alongside. But yeah, all escaped any damage there. But yeah, yeah, a few drivers coming in for those early stops.
Yeah, always a disadvantage to those drivers out there who don't have triple screens, isn't it? They're having to rely a lot more on their spotters to know exactly where the cars are, and they can't know exactly. The best they can do is that there's someone there alongside them somewhere, so you always have to leave a little bit of extra room when you can't quite place the other driver. Unfortunately, in situations like that where drivers are in the pits, you're leaving room for absolutely no reason, which is just costing you time. But hey-ho. Racing continues at the front. These 4 look to be pretty solid in their positions at the moment, just lapping and pulling away rapidly from the rest of the field. Jason Perry now almost a full 9 seconds off the back of these guys. We also mentioned at the start we didn't think there'd be too much in the way of back markers playing a role tonight on such a big, well, not a huge circuit, but a bigger circuit certainly than Tsukuba. But actually the slow getaway from the mid-pack and all the incidents, we're already sort of 40 seconds between the leaders and the mid part of the grid, so we may well see some more back markers playing their role tonight.
Yeah, those early pit stops as well kind of put you into that area. It is certainly something you could consider if you're a midfield driver, as we see a move there for Bertoni getting past McCain. That is a Spec 1 driver past a Spec 2 driver, those specs being judged by iRacing, of course. So you'd expect Bertoni to get past, but by no means is iRacing a perfect gauge of pace. And that's a very big can of worms, which we probably don't want to open too much. But as I've been told, don't do it. But I've totally forgotten what I was going to say now. But yeah, sorry, Bertoni moving past there, which is sort of what you would expect. And I've forgotten the other thing that I was going to say. I'm sure it was really insightful and really intellectual.
Absolutely.
You'll have to wait for that later on in the broadcast.
Yeah, I think Stevie also takes into account your performances during the races. Drivers will normally naturally get put into Spec 2 to begin with, but if you perform well, I think Stevie will take time to have a look at your results and probably bump you up if you are meriting a Spec 1 red highlight against your name. As we're looking off the back here of Jacobson, Bradshaw right in behind him, number 929, and Rodriguez, number 76, just off the back of them as well. He's starting lap 11 into turn 1. Again, catching that curb on the inside, using it to just hook the wheels round. Oh, we've got a little bit of a run here as we go on shore. Yep, Bradshaw takes the position off Jacobson there. Jacobson dropping out immediately as soon as he showed him the nose really there. Obviously wanting to preserve his car a little bit longer. Or we might not preserve from that position for much longer though. Rodriguez was looking up his inside.
Into the lead. Winner has got past Nom. I think that was at the end of the back straight or into the keyhole. It certainly happened earlier on in this lap, and yeah, it was at the end of the back straights. This is an interesting one. I'm surprised Winner went for this. I think he had a really good sort of position there to be P2 in the line, and yeah, he's decided to move past. You can see Nom doesn't care one bit. If anything, maybe you want the draft. So interesting tactic there from Winner. I'm surprised he didn't stay behind a little bit longer.
Yeah, maybe decided he wants to test his pace out front. I mean, immediately as we say that, he sets the new fastest lap of the race, a 1:34.28. He's not pulling away from Nom though. Nom's quite happy, sat there just 2 tenths behind him. Arabian and Vore still along for the ride. But yeah, maybe he just wants to test his pace out front, just see if he can't unsettle Aero a little bit, show him what he's got. Not that Aero unsettles all that easily, to be quite honest. A driver who is as calm as anything, whether he's driving or with us in the box at the end of a race.
Yeah, I mean, he munches our ear off every single week with his sponsors as he moves past into the lead once again. No, I mean, Aero doesn't. I mean, he gives us straight answers. It's what we want to see, and yeah, he doesn't mess around on track either. And yeah, I don't know who wants to be leading. Maybe Arabian will lead for a bit. I'm not quite sure, but it doesn't count for too much, of course, at this point in the race. Just that fuel-saving element. If you're the following driver, even if you're not lifting and coasting, you're gonna be saving fuel. You're on the throttle less. You got less air resistance down the straights, and it will generally make you a bit more fuel efficient, which may allow you to take less fuel later on, as the drivers are nearly at halfway through into this race. And still Nom the leader in the Spec 1, McCain leader in the Spec 2, and Nunez leader in the Masters.
Just looking now for the pit lane transfer time, just to see how long it does take to roll through the pits. Stevie Ray was in there for 34 seconds. So if our leaders were to come in now, they'd be coming out somewhere around Gorey, Gibson, back end of the team positions. So they'd be coming out into traffic. So probably still want to do a few more laps, gain a little bit more of an advantage and try and find some clean air for when they do coming out. As we're watching one of our big movers, Kurt Nunez, started 27th, currently running in 13th, a little bit of fresh air for him, which is a surprising feature of this series. You do occasionally get drivers without others around them to battle, but don't worry, it won't last for long, I'm sure.
Yeah, what's the gap between Nunez and Reyes? Is Reyes catching much at the moment? 9/10 of a second faster on that last time round, so that is going to be closing in. I can't remember what happened to Reyes earlier on. He was up in 6th place, wasn't he?
Pinero going into the pit lanes, he got blindsided, didn't he?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, actually quite a funny feature. I was looking at the pit lane transfer times. Race does have a mark against his name. He was in the pits for 0.3 of a second apparently before he managed to reverse out. So he'll be making 2 pit stops tonight according to our timing systems.
Of all the tracks to make that mistake, I mean, had he gone all the way and actually gone down the pit lane, it's pretty much the shortest pit lane I think we have all season long. It's not as fast as some others. I know some of the Grand Prix circuits now have a bit faster pit lane speeds as Elson comes into the pits, and he was pushing it right to the limit there. And then for some of the drivers, with so many drivers out here, some of the pit stalls for the drivers who started near the back of the order will be right at the start. And in fact, I think a driver may have got a little bit caught out there. You can see a very awkward angle for Nunes to get in there, but it looks as though he's got away with that one. He's probably killed a couple of tyre mechanics right there, as he's not particularly happy there. So I wonder if he's got a penalty perhaps, or maybe just rearing to go. Seems to be getting away now. How long was his stationary time? Nunes 19.92, that's 10 seconds longer than other drivers. So I don't think that's a penalty, because usually penalties like 30 seconds. So that might be the tyres perhaps. Maybe could have accidentally taken 1 or 2 tyres maybe.
That's potential, isn't it? Normally you'll see the car jacks up one side and then the other. I didn't see that whilst we were in there. Let's see from a replay if we can't unearth a little bit more as to just what happened. Comes into the pits as expected, I think. Oh, a little bit deep on the brakes there. Touches the grass. Oh, has he just struggled to get into his box maybe? No, seems to be alright, doesn't it? Yeah, maybe it was tyres and we just didn't notice the movement as the car as he took those. Otherwise, there's not really another explanation for why it would take so long. But obviously, yeah, we saw how awkward it was to get into the box there. Pretty much the first box in the pit lane. He had to crank on plenty of steering lock to snap it in there, and then obviously parked at a funny angle, which can't have helped his mechanics.
Yeah, I do like it when the drivers prove my point that I'm making. So thanks for that one. Very useful stuff. Top 2 have pulled away a little bit now, haven't they? Up to 1 second to Arabia. It's when Winner will just wait behind Nom. Absolutely knows that he's got to just keep their pace as quick as they possibly can, and try to break away and make this into a 2-way battle like it was at Monza, of course. Norm ending up coming out on top on that one, was able to take a much shorter pit stop. However, I don't think he'll have such a short pit stop this time. Winner's been the trailing car on the most part, so you would back him most likely to have the shorter pit stop when they come into the pits, probably in between 5 and 10 minutes, around the half an hour mark, I think, will be when most of these drivers are able to stretch the fuel to.
I thought Aero was headed for the pits just for a second there. He took a little bit wider line. Arabian looks to have immediately started to shrink that gap. He was about a second away from these two, as you mentioned, but obviously a little bit of free space to drive up into, and he seems to be catching them back up now. Oh, Winner well out wide. Goes a little bit of grass cutting there, and as we mentioned, first feature of the back markers approaching now. Aeronom's got to tackle his way past these guys. Oh, and I say tackle, he got right up under the gearbox there.
Lost him a bit of time. Fortunately for him, Winner also messed up the corner slightly. But yeah, that was a little bit iffy for him. Sancinelli, is he in the pits or has he towed? No, I think Sancinelli's had a problem. So that is a shame for him. He started Sancinelli, I believe, in a decent position. Started in 23rd position tonight. Was up a few places before that. But unfortunately one of the front runners in the championship. I think he's top 10 in the championship. Dropping on the order because of that, as we might get a replay of what happened to him.
Yep, looks to be out on his own. Oh, and it's a disconnect from the looks of it. No, he's back. Oh, and then he goes off. Yeah, some kind of disconnect. Some kind of connection issue for him there, unfortunately. One of the perils of online racing, unfortunately. You can't completely discount those connection issues or hardware issues that do plague one or two drivers from time to time.
Yeah, that was an odd one, wasn't it? Because of course he like just went straight off the circuit afterwards. So yeah, hopefully might be able to rejoin the session. They do get a faster pair to these drivers, one per race. McCain now comes into the pits. We're watching Dobek currently battling with Kern and Atherton, who are behind. So Jackson is within a second just ahead. Not too many big packs at the moment. I mean, that lead pack is actually the biggest one we've got. This is really the second longest we've got. And then we've also got the pairs of Flores and Huraski battling over 24th and 25th. Cantor and Leone, 26th and 27th. And also James Lopez just dropping a few places. He's down into 31st now. A little bit of a setback for him. So yeah, not too many big packs, which is sort of what we expected around this circuit. The slipstream effect isn't too powerful. The drivers gradually kind of separating out on track as the minutes tick by. We tune back with our leaders, and once again Arabian just allowing that gap a little bit to open up, and also Vuori now 7/10 of a second behind the car number 2.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned for Vuori, I think, for hanging on to this group now. Opening 20 minutes, he looked to be quite happy on the back of them. I was maybe even considering a pass on Florenzi ahead. But now, as we track past lap 17, just getting a little bit disconnected now. If he goes any further off the back of them, he won't have the tow. A little bit of an advantage, speed advantage down the straights. Front two, work it into turn 1. Oh, as we go back to Campbell and Jackson now. 38 Campbell. Chasing up to Dobek, number 42. Through the roller coaster section. Quick dab of the brakes into this fast right. And use all the curb on the inside. Flat out left, right kink. And then pick your braking point. And try not to wander over that curb on the outside, which is something I have done countless times around here. Very easy on several sections to ride over a crest and suddenly find you're arriving at the next corner far too quickly.
Yeah, and it's so good as well to have the grass lining the circuit. Nice kind of physical deterrence rather than the off tracks. One of the best elements of this track. Murakami, by the way, coming into the pits, he was in P3, P2 in the Masters. May have actually been a bit further back than that. Hasn't had a great time of it so far tonight as he comes back out. Of course, championship leader will almost certainly be championship leader whatever happens tonight. He had a strong lead going into this round, and he's now a minute and 2 off the lead. But with that pit stop completed, he's got Huraski just behind him. Huraski starts it from the pits, so Huraski with a pit stop assigned, but will have to pit again as winner is into the pits. And I am quite surprised because he was following Nom for this whole stint. I was surprised he's had to come into the pits a bit early. Maybe tactical, could it be? Maybe go for the undercut, but I'm very surprised that if winner didn't have fuel to go one further lap, because those other 3 in that lead pack have all been able to go one further.
Yeah, just interesting to see where he comes out now. See if he gets some clean air to set some times of his own. Winner clearly isn't going to have clean air. He might get a little bit of tow here, just down the back straight, but he's got a couple of cars to deal with. I wonder if Austin was looking down the straight and thinking now is the best time, because clearly Aero's got to deal with this one. He's probably going to have to deal with at least one more before the end of the lap, all of which could play to Austin's advantage, depending on exactly where he's come out. On the timing board, he's in 7th place, just a few tenths ahead of the number 22 Viger. There he is on screen for you now, and plenty of clear road in front of him. So
really quick pit
a little
stop
bit of
as well.
a good idea.
7.88 stationary for winner, and that is pretty much just second faster than anything else that we've seen. I mean, 9 seconds for some drivers, 10 seconds and 11 seconds is sort of the common. So 7.88 certainly does show that he has a bit of fuel to spare, and it was a tactical pit stop, and that could be important. Will come down to tenths of a second when it comes to the pit stops as Nom goes for one more lap. Arabian and Vuori having to come into the pit, so it does seem like they're sort of reaching the limits of the fuel right now, and Nom you know, got the pace and got the strategy, it seems.
Yeah, 30 minutes in, they'll be starting to get down to the last few fumes, won't they? Aero's obviously decided that he's got enough to make it round at least once more, maybe even a couple more times. We'll watch on the timing boards. Here comes Winner across the line. You can see in the pits, his two rivals are still stationary. He's going to be flying past them. Arabian not even out on track yet. There he is in the background, but there's at least 2 or 3 seconds, and Vori a further 2 behind as well. So Austin's played his play, and it's worked out handsomely against those two. Let's see if he can't claim the big prize of Aero Nom as well.
Yeah, like you were saying before, he hasn't had any traffic, at least. The Nom's traffic isn't as bad as maybe it could have been. Ooh, wow, this looks like a mess. West and Kern involved. West seemingly continuing without a problem, but Kern in the wall. And has he pitted already, Kern? I hope for his sake that he hasn't. He hasn't, fortunately. So he will definitely have that fastest pair still spare for him to use. I think he's got a bit of damage on that car as we get a replay of exactly what happened to him. I can also say Aero Nom has come into the pit lane, so once this replay is complete, we'll see where he comes out on track. Ooh, there's just a bit of understeer for the 944, and then West, fortunately, being able to continue along. And in fact, Kern's issue happened just before that.
Yep. Kern had nothing to do with that one, did he? Bobby West has been in the wars though tonight. I think that's the 3rd time I've seen him across the grass. But the big talking point, Winner versus Nom. Where are they? Winner comes round turn 1, and Nom's still coming out of the pits. Nom's still getting up to speed. That's a huge gain for Austin. That's 2 or 3 seconds right there on screen for you with only 8 minutes left to run. Austin Winner may just be putting his hand on the winner's cup right there.
As we find out what happened to Kern initially, it looks like it's going to be contact then. Oh, this isn't a place where you usually make an overtake. Oh, in fact, he's sort of lost it by himself, hasn't he? Run wide, and then Murakami, I think, was the other car involved, and certainly got held up there, may have got any damage. Of course, the Winner and Nom battle, though, that's the big one, and in the pit stops, Winner was 2.3 seconds faster in their stationary time. That's a huge difference. That's a quarter or 25% less fuel being taken by Winner. I mean, that's absolutely huge. So he really was saving a lot of fuel in that first stint. That's the advantage of being the trailing car. And now he's got 7 minutes to hold on to the win. And crucially, he's got outside of the draft range as well. Nom is going to have to gain back that time through pure pace. He can't just waltz up to the back using that slipstream effect, as the back marker's playing a bit more of a part in this race.
Yeah, that was a little bit risque from the number, was it 801 there? I just saw pulled to the inside. Austin Winner got a little bit blindsided, I think, by him there. Should just mention the other 2 drivers in the top 5 at the moment, Bertoni and Weiger. Those drivers are yet to pit. I'm amazed at the size of their fuel tanks. They're still going. They'll have to come in at some point. Bertoni we join now, current de facto leader, but he's going to have to give that up.
So sorry to interrupt. This isn't like an amazing plan from Bertoni not to pit, is it? Maybe he's saving fuel. Maybe we could ride on board with him just a moment here, see if he's lifting, coasting. Yeah, I think he's going to the end of the race, Bertoni. I don't think he's going to pit. I think it's close enough on fuel that he thinks he can get to the end, and maybe Weiger is doing the same thing, because there's no way that that Nom could. There's no way that top 4 would be so far short on fuel. So I think Bertoni's just trying to go to the end of the race. Otherwise, he would not be fuel saving this amount.
It's a big fuel saving effort if he does manage it. But with Ryder on board in there, and he definitely got out of the throttle way before he needed to brake for turn 6. And I think a couple more corners as well. I'm not hearing him bury the throttle. Even there, as we go through the carousel, he's quite clearly just coasting round there, letting it carry the speed, and then braking only at the last possible moment. Oh, as Weiger comes in, so that's one of your drivers who isn't going to try and follow through on that tactic. The only issue for Bertoni, of course, is that Austin Winner's on him now. He's only going to take him another lap. He has got 2 back markers in between him, though. He's got to safely negotiate. That's going to be music to Aeronom, and in fact Arabian as well. Arabian's in the draft of Aeronom, so if Nom catches Winner, I think Florenz will be with him as well. Oh, as Austin's getting all sorts of held up through the keyhole there. He'll be hoping that these drivers give him a toe down here and then promptly move out of the way.
Winner is pretty. Nom's still just slightly out, isn't he? Still 2 seconds behind, so still just missing out on that draft. But Winner was a little bit compromised heading into that corner. Still got 1 more back marker before he can get to the back of Bertoni, who I doubt will really fight him. Bertoni's got his own battle to fight. He'll know well and truly that Winner is not in his race. This is a dreadful part of the track to catch up. He's got to be committant here, Winner, and this is leaking time right now. The gap was at 2 seconds at the start of this lap. It could be down to, well, 1.5 seconds, I think, right here, as he finally does get past. And yeah, it's down to 1.6, so he's lost upwards of half a second being held up by a back mark there.
Yeah, the number 383, Mike Newton there. That was awful. Oh, as in comes Bertoni.
Oh.
There he is, into the pit lane.
He tries. I love the effort.
The long shot doesn't come off. Meanwhile, Aeronom's about to get held up. He's got back markers side by side into turn 1. Oh, and Mike, on this occasion, gets out of the way. Austin will be not sending him any Christmas cards this year, I don't think, after getting held up for more than half a lap. Aeronom still 1 more to clear as they come into the keyhole, as Winner tries to regain all the time he just lost. And Arabian will be looking at this and hoping he can just fly by on the back straight. Interestingly, I think Viore is completely out of this lead battle now, isn't he? It's a battle for the podium positions. And with only 3 minutes left to go, you wonder if they're not maybe settled already. As we ride on board with Aeronom now, that's the gap he's got to close. He's got a clear line of sight to Austin Winner. 1.5 seconds. 1.4 as we come into turn 6 and over the roller coaster section.
Because he only got the race win by a fraction last time out, was it? It was less than a tenth. So it's amazing. It was 4 100ths or something at the line. So he basically doesn't need to win by a big margin. He left it very late last time. Let's see if he can pull it off this time. We've only got. Well, will this be the next lap, the last lap, as we've got a spinner just around there? No, I think we'll just push 2 more, and I wonder if maybe that was the reason why we had one of the drivers who was trying to go to the end, Bertoni, come into the pits. Maybe he thought, nah, well, I'm going to have to do 1 more lap than what I'd calculated here, and that was enough to force him in, because we were only going to get that extra lap by about 5 or 10 seconds, so not everyone would have necessarily predicted it, but the pace of these front runners enough to force that extra lap in this race. By the way, Bertoni still coming out in 5th place. Shows how little fuel that you need to take around this circuit. Able to pit, come out back out into 5th place, and he hasn't lost any places compared to his race.
Sorry, Sam. Interestingly, he was stationary for longer than Austin Winner, though. He only needed 2 laps of fuel, and it still took him longer than Winner. So I wonder if Winner's pretty much on fumes, having stopped for barely even enough time to say hi to his mechanics. We've got a lap and a half left to run. Aeronom 1.3 seconds behind. These guys had near identical qualifying times. They've got near identical best laps of the race. The only thing separating them is that time stationary in the pits, and it's falling Winner's way. Just 18, 19 more corners to negotiate. Picks up a nice apex through Thunder Valley there. Not going to leave any time on the board for Aeronom to bite into. In our other categories, Reyes is back to the top of the Masters category, 10th overall, and Alan McCain leads in Spec 2, 11th overall. Neither of those drivers.
Oh no! Arabian has had to come into the pits. He must have underfueled. He was 8.83 stationary, so he must have. I think a few drivers here predicted 1 less lap than we've actually got, and that does strike worry into Austin Winner because he took less fuel than anyone. Does he have enough to get to the end of the race, or will he be fuel saving, and that could be enough to allow Nom back in?
Well, we're going to find out. A minute left of this race to run. The time has ticked past 40. We're on the last lap. The white flag has waved. If we have got fuel saving, we'll know down this straight. No, he looks to have taken it at full blast right up to the braking zone. I think he's good, you know. Aero Nom closes in under brakings. It's under a second now, but he's rapidly running out of time and opportunities to overtake. Oh, we've got back martyrs battling in front. Winner doesn't want to see this in front of him. He wants a clear road. Or at the very least for those two drivers to be fast enough to get to the line before he catches them. Final time through Thunder Valley. Again, he's still got about a second's lead. I think this is all for Austin Winner unless there's a cough on the run to the line. Just the final couple of corners to negotiate. It's been an excellent drive from Austin Winner. Just missed out on pole by a matter of thousandths. Oh, as he goes. Oh, and overtaking the last couple of corners is never a good idea. But he's seen him off. Austin Winner, our first new winner of the season, takes round 3 here at Mid-Ohio. Sees off Aero Nom and Vori into 3rd place. That's an excellent drive. As we join Reyes, our Masters leader, he's joined with Alan McCain, our Spec 2 leader. These two guys are going to watch each other home in 10th and 11th overall. I just mentioned Arabian is going to come home in 5th after his late pit stop, just ahead of Perry, Weiger, Elson, the number 30, the 56, sorry, in 8th. Jason Green comes home in 9th after an excellent battling performance, up from 19th on the grid. Antonio Reyes claims the Masters victory ahead of Alan McCain in Spec 2. Dobek, Campbell, Gorey all coming across the line now. Murakami, a quiet night, but he still managed to come home 2nd in the Masters category. Batenga, Stevie Ray, series founder, Bobby West after a night of incident, and Adam Bradshaw. As they come battling to the line, the number 415. That's Andalo trying to pass Leone, gets seen off though into 24th place. We wait for the last few drivers on the lead lap. We're looking at Jackson here, the number 249. Kurt Nunez behind him. Oh, someone escapes to the pit lane. Obviously decides he wants to finish in the pits. Maybe get in the transporter and go home a little bit quicker. Nunez across the line. Bately in 33rd. Flores in 34th is our last lead lap driver. Well, Sam, that was an exciting race, wasn't it?
It was, and I was waiting for Winner to splutter right there. That Arabian pit stop put all kinds of doubts into my mind. Will be really interesting to get an interview from our race winner about how much fuel he had spare right at the end there. As oh no, drivers up driving backwards. I always hate that. I won a race one time and drove backwards and lost it, and the commentators wouldn't let it down. But I think now that the check flag's out, that they're fine, and they are free to wreck those cars and cause themselves spinal injuries till the cows come home.
Yeah, and just wait for the race results to pop up on screen. Got qualifying results there at the moment. Obviously, Jonathan wanting us to run through those things we didn't get to before the start of the race. But there are our race results now. Austin Winner takes home a fantastic victory, his first of the season, and the first that isn't going home with Aero Nom, who comes home 2nd, nearly a second behind. Rasmus Vori picks up what in the end was a lucky podium. He was out of the battle for the top 3, but thanks to a late pit stop from Arabian, Rasmus moves up to 3rd, 7 seconds off the lead, ahead of Andres Bertoni. Sam's back for the unusual strategy that in the end wasn't seen through. Comes home 4th, ahead of Friends Arabian. Jason Perry in 6th place, ahead of Matthias Feiger. Steve Elson and Jason Green making up the top 9 pro drivers. Antonio Reyes, our first Masters driver home. That'll be music to his ears. He's been looking to pick up a win, hasn't done so yet in the Masters category. Picks one up on the 3rd race of the season. Al McCain in 11th overall, winner in Spec 2, ahead of Michael Dobek. Aidan Campbell Chris Murakami comes home in 14th ahead of Johan Botenga. Stevie Ray in 16th, and the ever in the wars Bobby West tonight comes home 17th. That's an impressive result after the amount of time he spent on the grass. Adam Bradshaw in 18th. And Jesus Rodriguez in 19th, ahead of Tom Renders, leader in Spec 2. Somewhat of a disappointing night for him. I wonder if he's had any issues that we haven't seen on screen. Jeff Jacobson in 21st, ahead of Luca Leone. Flavio Andalo in 23rd, ahead of Ian Gibson. Jose Santiago, Miro Haskey. Hugh Simpkins, we also saw getting into bother tonight. Comes home 27th overall, ahead of Jeff Fritcher in 28th. 29th goes away off Chris Atherton, ahead of Paul Jackson. Kurt Nunez, one of our big movers early on, obviously got caught out towards the end there, drops to 31st. Ken Bately in 32nd, and Joshua Flores in 33rd, ahead of Paolo Gori. Jeff Cantor, Charlie Vacara, Mike Knutson, Gary Wolbolt down in 38th place. Positions from 35 down, all a lap or further off the lead. 39th is claimed by Artillero. Marcus Burkett in 40th, Jan Longin in 41st. Elia Lodi comes home 42nd, ahead of James Lopez. Michael Faglini, Andrea Favini in 45th, Bob Kern, Marco Trespidi, and rounding out the 48 drivers. No, sorry, a few more drives to go. Chris Montgomery in 48th, Edgar Sancinelli in 49th. Jörg Marni got punted very early on, we saw on the run down into turn 6, comes home 50th overall, tiring early in the race. Marco Pinero, another driver to retire very early on. And finally, Sandy Sotullo, who I don't believe took the start. And breathe.
Good effort. Now 7 days to recover for next time.
Right, as we look for drivers hoping to join us in the com box. Sam, have you got someone you'd like to pluck in here?
Well, I would very much like to have a chat with our overall race winner tonight. It is Austin Winner. He joins us in the commentary box, and a very well-earned win it was. Congratulations, Austin. First question, how much fuel did you have at the end of the race? Because you took a very, very short pit stop.
Yeah, I was really cutting it close. I thought I was going to start sputtering before the finish line, but luckily I did not. I kept driving just to see where it would, and it was right after that first hairpin after the chicane. So on that long straight, it started to sputter. So it was very close.
We only just got in that extra lap. You crossed the line with about 5 seconds to go. In your fuel calculations, were you expecting to do that many laps, or were you expecting to do one less lap? Because it looked like it caught out Arabian just behind.
I mean, I kind of just wing it, so I didn't have any calculations going in. I have no idea how many laps we did or how many laps we could have done instead, so I have no idea. I just kind of asked crew chief, the little app, how much fuel do I need? And since I was drafting Aero before that, I figured, I'm lifting early. I need a little bit more than what he says, but I usually just wing it, and most of the time I get lucky, so no skill from me.
Well, yeah, we'll see if other drivers, copy that tactic. It certainly worked well for you tonight. How was it in those closing stages? I mean, you got that track position, but I mean, Aero's obviously extremely quick. He was catching you. How much were you pushing out there? Were you pushing at 90%, or with that gap, were you able just to leave a little bit more margin?
Yeah, straight out of the pits, I was pushing 100%, but then when I realized we might do that extra lap and I knew it was going to be close, I started easing off a little bit. Then we ran into some lap traffic. It was kind of tough for me to get through. I don't know how Aero got through it, but then he was pretty close, but there was a lap. Kind of phoned it in from there. No reason to push it and make a mistake.
Well, thank you very much for having a chat with us. Austin, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I just want to say Stevie Ray runs a wonderful league. It's amazing week in and week out. Any issues that do come up, he takes care of immediately, and there are very few issues. So props to Stevie Ray. This league wouldn't be anything without him.
Absolutely, we very much echo that one. Thanks for coming up into the commentary box, Austin, and see you back next week.
Thank you.
Austin Winner, or overall winner tonight. Adam, who are you going to have a chat with?
Well, we've had our overall race winner. I think it's only fair if I take on the Masters winner. And joining us in the box now, it is the Masters winner from tonight, Antonio Reyes. Welcome into the box, Antonio.
Hey, good night. Thank you for having me.
So a bit of a roller coaster night for you at what is a roller coaster circuit. You qualified all the way up in 7th place and had some issues early on, didn't you? Dropped down and then have recovered still to take home the victory in the Masters. How are you feeling at the end of that one?
It's always good to race. I never race for win or for whatever position. I just race for having some fun and try to be fast as I can. Sorry, Marco Panero, I hit him. I didn't count he brake that early because he had some distance in front of him. I was thinking he was braking later, but then he come after that to the track again in front of me. I was a little bit thinking, be careful. I don't know what he was doing there, but anyway, yeah, it was a good race actually.
Yeah, you got caught out on the entry to the pits, didn't you? Marco joined into the pit lane and you sort of got shuffled away into him, and then you had to do a little bit of a 3-point reverse and back onto the circuit. How much trouble did that cause you?
I didn't count he was going to the pits. I thought he was going. I was trying to get away from him. I tried to get to the pits, but I didn't imagine he was going to the pits at the same time. And then I just changed mind and go back to the track again.
Yeah, you obviously lost a few positions there, and then had to climb.
I lost a lot of time. Yeah. Anyway, well, this kind of things sometimes happen, unfortunately. But yeah, it was a good race.
No, your normal rival in the Masters category, Chris Murakami, didn't really feature tonight. Were you surprised not to be battling him at any point?
Yeah, I was kind of a surprise. Chris usually he does well, and then he managed well all the races, through the races and through the traffic. And then today he was a little kind of slower than usual, but I was thinking he would catch me, and then he had some accident. I passed, and then he was on the track with someone spinning or something. Then I keep going.
Well, congratulations
Sorry
on your win.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week at Knock Hill.
Yeah, see you next week. Yeah, thank you.
Antonio Reyes there, our winner in the Masters category. I think we may have time for our Spec 2 winner. Sam, are you wanting to take on Alan McCain tonight?
Yes, I will have a quick chat with Alan. Congratulations on the Spec 2 race win, and quite an action-packed race it looked like. You seem to be in the battles for pretty much the whole event.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that was just set your ground. If anything happens, just try to stay calm, remain calm, and just drive it out and see what happens.
How did you find this mid-high circuit? Because I mean, we're going through the whole broadcast, seeing a corner, saying, "Oh, easy to make a mistake around there," and then we'd come to the next corner saying pretty much the exact same thing. Basically, it's a very tricky circuit. Did you find it enjoyable to race around here tonight?
Yeah, there was a few corners I was having a little problems, but come the end of the race, it was fine. But I did have a wee whoopsie coming into the pits, a spun coming into the pits, so I had to make a sort of back up to myself for it.
We have many races left in the championship. I'm quickly just saying what the next round of the championship is. It is going to be Knock Hill, the next round of the championship, the national reverse layout. Have you ever raced around that circuit before?
Yes, but not the reverse.
I guess it's sort of the same, isn't it? I guess you'll know it a bit. And of course, yeah, the national one as well, with that different, I guess, start to the lap when it is the reverse layout. I'm sure it'll be a good round of the championship. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Stevie for running the league, and Aero Nom for showing me the ways of the mastery of the SRF.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for joining us in the commentary box, and best of luck next week.
Thank you very much now.
Alan McCain there, your winner in the Spec 2 category tonight. And I think that pretty much wraps us up. Adam.
Yeah, we're coming to the end of our broadcast for everyone watching tonight. If you have enjoyed the broadcast, take time to like the video and subscribe to the channel, apexracingtv.com. We also obviously have other social media channels, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Search Apex Racing TV and join us on each of those platforms. Shout out to our sponsor for the race, once again, RaceVoice. Some excellent software there to improve your iRacing experience. Any final thoughts, Sam, before we sign off?
Yeah, just looking forward to the next round. I mean, Knock Hill, that's going to be... we've done one race, I think, on Apex Racing TV on that layout, and it was a bit chaotic. It's just so narrow. It's very tricky to sort of leave a car's width throughout. But I'm sure it'll be a good one to watch and be tricky to overtake. And also, so many cars on a very short circuit will be a very extreme circuit. By the way, just a heads up as well about some of the events that we've got on Apex Racing TV coming up in the next few days. We've got AOL Mazda Cup up tomorrow. Ricmotech World Challenge, that is on tomorrow night for Americans. Also, AOL GT3 Trophy is on Tuesday. That will be at Watkins Glen. That's usually a very good circuit for those cars. So make sure to keep tuned on everything that's happening on Apex Racing TV.
Yep, if you have enjoyed watching us tonight, make sure you join us next week when we try and stuff 50 of these Spec Racer Fords around a tiny little track in Scotland. I've been Adam Hadfield, joined in the box on the cameras by Jonathan Grabowski and in the box with Sam Fitzpatrick. We hope you've enjoyed watching us tonight. From all of us here at Apex Racing TV, wherever you are in the world, good morning, good evening, good night.